Assalamu alaikum. Zahra here with episode 11 of Spiritual Lessons from Harry Potter. And we are on book 2, which is The Chamber of Secrets. And we're at chapter 3. So again, if you are new here or new to me, my name is Zahra and I'm a spiritual coach that supports you to connect deeper with Allah, with God, so you can realize that you are supported, cared for, loved. Doesn't matter what mistakes or shortcomings you have, that Allah wants for you success and happiness. And I support people to do that in a variety of ways. I have Islamic affirmations, Islamic devotionals. I share a lot of posts. I have a blog. I have a YouTube channel. I have this series here. And the point of this series is really to use the story of Harry Potter and extract out the lessons that we can use from it to implement in our daily lives, or even just to reflect on as we're navigating about our day. As my Instagram handle suggests, Practical Muslim, my whole point is really, how do I make the learnings, the lessons, the teachings of Islam practical, so that I can actually know, like, what do I do, with my parents, with my siblings, with my job, with my work? How do I navigate life? So welcome again. So glad you're here. And we're on chapter 3 in the Chamber of Secrets. Okay. So this is the burrow. So we left off that Harry had been locked up in his room by his uncle because he had, oh my gosh, I need to wear my glasses, my Harry Potter glasses. And I got my wand. He had been locked up in his room because he made a big ruckus at dinner. And when he did that, the Ministry of Magic sent an owl to the Dursleys' home that said, what did it say? That said that Harry had used magic as an underage witch, which is against the law. He can only use magic at Hogwarts. And so, if he does it again, he's going to be expelled from Hogwarts. So this emboldened his uncle to lock him up. He locked him up in his cupboard. He took away all, his school supplies. He locked him up in his room. He installed bars on his windows so he can't get out. So he's like, okay, you're trapped. And if you try to use magic to get out, you're going to get expelled from school. So, like, I've got you. You're trapped. And so chapter 3 starts with, it's been a couple of days and, they're feeding him Harry through a flap in the door. And Harry is like distraught. There's nothing he can do. He can't use magic. Hedwig's, his owl's locked up. Like, what is he going to do? He can't tell anyone. He can't let anyone know. And then one night he hears rustling on his window and it's Ron. Ron is at his window and they're like, what's going on? And Harry fills him in and is like, okay, we're here to bust you out, right? We're going to get you out. And they have a flying car and they pull off the bars of the window and Harry escapes. So again, here we have another example, right? The lesson here is that even if the whole world gathered to try and prevent something that is for you, in this case, to try and prevent you from going back to Hogwarts, they will not be successful if it is meant for you. And we see this quote, this sentiment, this reflection all the time. It's like one of the favorites of Instagram. I feel like I'm constantly seeing it, right? What's meant for you will not miss you. What's not for you will, always go past you, whatever. But we really have to appreciate what this sentiment means, right? That when we're in a situation like Harry Potter situation where it seems like there is no way out, I am trapped, how can I get through, what am I going to do, I have no way to move on my own, of my own strength, there's no more that I can give or do without causing more trouble. I can't do anything. How am I going to get out of this mess? To really relax and trust and know, okay, God's on my side. Allah's got me. Like, there will be a way out of this. I don't know how, right? And it just reminds me of the story of Musa alayhi salam, right, when he is marching towards the Red Sea. The sea is in front of him. Pharaoh's army is behind him, the largest, most powerful army in the world at that time. And he is feeling trapped. He appears to be trapped, right? And his people who are with him are like, we're doomed, we're doomed. But Musa, who has faith, who knows that, no, God is always on my side. Like, I'm not going to look at these appearances and think that, like, there's no way, there's no hope. No, Allah will make a way for us, right? He has faith, and it is the reward of his faith that he receives the amazing, great miracle of parting the Red Sea, that he believed that there is a way out for him, right? So this lesson of if something is meant for you, it will come to you. And you won't need to do, you in many cases won't need to do any force to receive it or achieve it or get it, that it will come to you, right? So the escape for Harry, or the release from his captivity for Harry, just came to him. Ron came to him. He's like, we haven't heard from you. I've been sending you owls. Where have you been? We're here to bust you out. And I have all the things that you need for you to be busted out, right? He had a hook. He was able to remove the bars. His brothers were with him who were able to unlock Harry's locked door without using magic. And the line that they say here, right? They took a hairpin from their pocket and started to pick the lock. A lot of wizards think it's a waste of time knowing this sort of muggle trick, said Fred, but we feel their skills worth learning, even if they are a bit slow. Right, so they had the skills to unlock Harry's door, go downstairs, unlock the cupboard under the stairs door so they could get his bags and bring them up. And in that way, Harry was able to escape. And the other thing I like about what Fred and George say here about learning how to pick a lock, right? Like, even if it's a bit slow and maybe I might not have any use for it because I'm a wizard, I'm going to be a wizard, I can use magic. I like to know these things. And that's so true in so much of today's society. A lot of the things that we have are kind of magical, right? That, you know, a washing machine, a refrigerator to keep things cold, cars, you know, GPS. A lot of things that we have are magical. So it may seem like a waste of time to learn how to read a map, or, okay, I'm going to, like, you know, have my own garden in the backyard and grow my own food when I can just go to the grocery store. Or not that it's a waste of time, but it's slow. It's slow to grow your own food. It's slow to learn how to read a map. It's slow to, you know, wash your clothes by hand wash. Well, I have a hand wash setting on my washing machine, but it could come in useful. It could come in handy. And in so many ways, in the modern world, us also being disconnected from how the process, the step-by-step of actually having to do things the slow way, how that's actually affected us. And okay, that's getting into another discussion. But just this point of, don't overlook learning how to do things, you know, the slow, non-appliance, magical, you know, DoorDash way. I don't know how else to say it. The non-techie way, without an app, right? Okay. Let us continue through this chapter. And in this chapter, right, so they take him to the Burrow, which is the name of the Weasley's house. And again, if you don't read Harry Potter, like, I am not getting into, like, the fun descriptions, what Harry sees at the house, like how their clock works, how the mirror talks to him, all of these different things. It's just so fun and interesting. Or actually, that's in the next chapter. But all of that. Fun story. So here's also where Harry learns what Mr. Weasley does. And Mr. Weasley is in the misuse of Muggle artifacts office at the Ministry of Magic. And he comes home, you know, they're all at home now, and he comes home from work, and they're asking him, like, you know, what did you find today? Or what was going on at work today? Because his work is interesting. People are casting spells on different Muggle items, and it wreaks havoc, basically. So he says, What happened today was just muggle baiting, sighed Mr. Weasley. Sell them a key that keeps shrinking to nothing so they can never find it when they need it. Of course, it's very hard to convict anyone because no muggle would admit their key keeps shrinking. They insist that they just keep losing it. Bless them. They'll go to any lengths to ignore magic, even when it's staring them in the face. Thanks, Shazia. My Harry Potter glasses. She says, I'm obsessed with your Harry Potter glasses while you talk about the book. I know. We went to a Harry Potter themed birthday party and I'm like, I am keeping these glasses. I love them so much. And the wand, my son already has several wands, so I just borrow his wand. But yes, I do like the glasses. Okay, so, right, so these wizards have enchanted keys so that they keep shrinking and muggles can't find them. But it's hard to convict them because they are like, oh no, I just keep losing them. And so this idea that, bless them, they'll go to any lengths to ignore magic, even if it's staring them in the face. And it's great that Shazia is here because my coach Shazia has helped me to really appreciate how we will ignore our blessings. We will ignore the magic, the mystery, the enchantment, the amazingness, the miracles in our own lives. We will call them random or coincidence or just, wow, that was lucky, or just kind of take them for granted and kind of almost write them off in a way. And what I mean by this is not like in the big sense, but it's really in the smaller senses that like so much of what is around us, what surrounds us is amazing, is magical. And we can easily kind of like, oh, well, that was just a coincidence. Oh, well, this just happened to me, or oh, whatever. And we don't want to do that. We want to appreciate all of those things, all of the little magical moments in our life. Because that's what's going to help you really see that Allah is constantly supporting you and sending you support, help, magic, miracles that are leading you to what you want. Okay. And then Molly, in the next part, Molly is Arthur's wife and she gets mad at Arthur like, your sons just flew this car across the country or wherever to get Harry, like, and this is not allowed. Like, you're in the Department of Misuse of Muggle Artifacts, and look what you've done. And Mr. Weasley's like, well, there's a loophole in the law. Like, if you didn't intend to actually use it, then you can still make them enchanted. And she's like, you wrote the law. You wrote it with this loophole. And I just find this part very funny and amusing because in so many ways, like, we do this, right? We like make rules for ourselves and include a loophole in it. And then like, oh, well, why am I not, achieving my whatever goal it is, my workout goal, my eating goal, my how many pages a day I said I'd write or do for work. But we've included a loophole within it. And so we just are automatically giving ourselves an out, right? Like we are the creators of the rules of our life. And just, go through for your own self and see where have you made loopholes in your quote unquote rules for your life so that you can never kind of pin yourself down. And in this case, Mr. Weasley is doing it in his actual job. Okay. I don't know why I had a sticky note there, but we'll get on to the next part. So finally, Harry gets to go up to Ron's room, and Ron's family is not that wealthy, and Ron is very aware and self-conscious of that. So when he's showing him his room, it's smaller than the room that, Harry was locked in, and he's feeling very uncomfortable and waiting for like Harry's assessment. And it says, right, it's a bit small, Ron said quickly, not like the room you had with the muggles, and I'm right underneath the ghoul in the attic. He's always banging on the pipes and groaning. But Harry grinned widely and said, this is the best house I've ever been in. Ron's ears went pink. Yay, thanks. I'm glad you are, Shazia. I would love to talk with you about them. Ron's ears went pink. So this is just such a good reminder, right? The things that we might be ashamed of or uncomfortable about or think are like, ugh, this is just my lame thing that I have. Another person may truly, truly appreciate. And this comes up even at the start of the next chapter, right? Like Harry is saying, she's like, I love the Weasley's house. And the most amazing thing about it is that everyone seems to like me and they're like interested in him and want to talk to him. And that too, right? To us, for many of us, to our own selves, we seem, I'm just regular, I'm just ordinary, I'm just boring, I'm not interesting, I'm not exciting. But to another person, they may find you fascinating, intriguing, like so interesting. They want to know everything about you and hear your history and where did you go and how did you do that and what about this and tell me more and share more about even your views or your thoughts or whatever. And for your own self, you're like, really? Like, why do you want to hear from me? What do you want to... I mean, Shazia is a great example of this. Go and listen to Shazia's podcast, Feminine and Fulfilled. And I think in her intro episode, she goes into this, how she thought maybe no one wanted to hear from her. And then it turns out everyone wanted to hear from her. And she started a podcast. She has over 150 episodes. And you will love to hear from Shazia what she has to share, what her reflections are, the lessons and learnings from her life. It's amazing. And I know for my own self that I've often felt that way, that I'd be at parties or dinner conversations and someone's looking at me so intently or like having a conversation and I start to feel uncomfortable, like, okay, like let's talk about something else, or you tell me about you, or let's hear from someone else. Like, why do you want to hear about me? Like, I'm just blah. And truly, truly, it's for us to appreciate we are all unique, amazing, fascinating, interesting people. And when you can just allow yourself to accept that, like, okay, yeah, let me share, right? Like, that's even part of what got me the courage to do this series. Like, oh, nobody wants to hear my reflections on Harry Potter. Everyone who's read Harry Potter probably has had similar reflections. And it's just this nagging thought that kept going in my mind, but I want to share them. I want to share them. And who cares? Who cares if, someone else has thought it or someone's not interested? They don't have to listen, but I can still share them. And so that's what I'm doing. And then to hear from people like, oh no, we love hearing your reflections. This is great. Or it's reminding me of other things, or all of those things. So it's really, really so important for us to have that good opinion of ourselves. And within doing that, you're actually also reflecting a good opinion of Allah, right? Because when you praise yourself, you are indirectly praising the one who created you. Allah made you, uniquely you. There's no one who looks like you, has the same fingerprint as you, who has the same background as you, history, story, characteristics as you. Like, you are special, unique, important, significant, and you matter, and you're here, and Allah directly created and placed you here. And when you can appreciate that and then allow that to shine through, not only do you become even more valuable to those around you because you know that you have something to share, but it allows you to appreciate your own self and then appreciate even more so others. Instead of, sometimes we feel jealous of others or resentful towards others, like, why are they getting the attention, or why do people want to hear about them? Like, well, we want to hear about you too. You just don't know that about yourself. And if you knew it, you wouldn't be resentful and you would also be sharing. So it's really like so powerful. What is Shazia saying? I never reflected on Harry Potter, but this is so deep. Yes. Oh my God. Guys, I don't know how many times I'm going to repeat it over. I love Harry Potter so much. I feel like it's taught me life. It's taught me life. And so now I'm sharing it all with you. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now Harry is with the Weasleys and it's time to go to Diagon Alley and get... okay, I see your question, X me, and I will get to it in a minute. Get their school things. And they get their school lists of all the supplies that they're going to need. And it's a lot of books. And the Weasleys, who, again, are not that wealthy, are realizing, oh my gosh, like this is a lot. And so they say, don't know how mom and dad are going to afford all our school stuff this year, said George after a while. 5 sets of Lockhart books and Ginny needs robes and a wand and everything. Harry said nothing. He felt a bit awkward. Stored in an underground vault at Gringotts in London was a small fortune that his parents had left him. And this just sentiment in general is common, right? That if you have something, you may feel awkward, uncomfortable, even guilty that others do not have. And this sentiment, right, that Harry is expressing is just so common. We would read that and be like, yeah, of course. He feels awkward because Ron doesn't have enough money and he has more money. Totally normal. And I am asking you to challenge it. This is another thing that Shazia helped me with, like to challenge that feeling if it comes up for you, because it doesn't have to feel like guilt, right? You may feel uncomfortable or awkward, but when it begins to feel like guilt, that's when you want to really check in on it, because Allah has blessed each of us in different ways, and Allah and access to Allah's blessings is open and available to all. And by you being uncomfortable or hiding or diminishing your blessings, you are not doing any favors to other people or to yourself. By you embracing and owning and appreciating your blessings, you do become more powerful, more capable of not only receiving more, but then also circulating more. So to notice that feeling within yourself and allow yourself to like move away from it, because I was just doing a session on receiving, right? On us making dua and trying to receive. And there's so much resistance to receiving because we feel guilty to receive because, well, another person doesn't have. So now I'm going to have more than my parents did, or more than a friend, or more than a sibling. So we're praying and praying, please, please, please. Someone's asking about a spouse. I want an amazing spouse. I want a new job. I want this and that. But then at the same time, like, oh my gosh, I'll feel so guilty if like my life is more amazing than my friends or than my families or than my parents. And so you have to work on that. And if you ever have this feeling in these small ways, right? Like a friend is talking about, oh, I can't afford this thing that you have or that you can't afford. You don't have to say anything out loud, but to challenge that feeling within yourself. Like, it's okay for me to have, it's okay for me to receive. How can I feel good about this? How can I be supportive and be there for my friends in a way? And it doesn't mean that you have to go giving away all your money to all your friends or things like that. That's not what I mean either. And this is like too much to go to in a little spiritual lessons from Harry Potter, but my session on receptivity does go into more depth in that, and that's in my Keys to Love series. But it is so critical, because that feeling of uncomfortableness around what you do have is letting you know you have resistance to having more. And if you want to have more of anything, you gotta be feeling really good, really comfortable, really blessed, really like awesome about what you do have. Just feeling so grateful and feeling and knowing that it comes from Allah, that it didn't come from you. It's not from your own effort, from your own work, from your whatever, your own smarts, your own wits. It's not about you. It is a gift. It is a blessing from Allah that you can receive it, be so grateful for it, honor it, and then be able to accept more and do more with it. Okay. Let's see. Okay, in this chapter, we learn a lot about Diagon Alley, Nocturne Alley. We learn more about Hermione and her parents, and we learn more about Malfoy and his father. Harry sees his father when he ends up in the wrong place when he's going to get his school books. And there's a lot of filling in for what's to come later. So if you are interested in reading the story, read the story, because that's going to help you keep up with what continues to happen. But the one thing I'll note here is that we get a really clear sense of the Malfoys' feelings towards non-pure purebloods, which is people that are not of a wizarding descent, mother and father wizarding, and, either half-blood, that only the mother or the father is a wizard and the other one was a muggle, or both muggle parents, like Hermione, both of her parents are muggles and she's a wizard. And we get this understanding of the hierarchy in the wizarding world. And basically it amounts to, the equivalent of racism in our modern world, right? So how the pure blood wizarding families feel racist, right? Or, wizardist, I don't know what the word would be, towards families that are not pure blood. And that's the Malfoy position. And he makes it very abundantly clear in this chapter. And so in so many books and shows and TVs, we have this dynamic, right? Like X-Men is about, that the X-Men are discriminated against because they have powers and they need to hide, and blah, 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 and mutants and all of that, right? Like in so many things, there's the issue of racism veiled as different species, different categories of people. And so this issue of racism in Harry Potter, in the wizarding world, is by purebloods versus half-bloods versus, I don't know what they call muggle-borns. The discriminating term is mudblood, that you're a mudblood, and it's like basically a racist slur to call someone a mudblood. And that's going to set us up again for more in the future. So I'm going to end here. That was chapters 3 and 4 of Chamber of Secrets, and inshallah we'll pick up again next time with that. But someone did have a question totally unrelated to Harry Potter, but I'm going to address it anyways. It says, is your spouse written for you, or do you have a choice? And I think she asked it in a different way. Yeah. And so what we know is that Allah has written everything. Allah has written everything for us, about the world, about everything. Allah knows and has written everything. And what does that mean in practice? So think of it as a book, right? As if any of you guys had like the Goosebumps or other books when you were a kid that are choose your own adventure, right? The whole story is written there, but you get to choose. Oh, is the character going to go to that door, or turn and go down the hallway? So everything's written, and it's a choose your own adventure. So what choices you make in your life, that is the free will. What free will you have to pursue this person or let that person go, or, challenge your parents with this, determines your destiny of which path within the book you will follow to get to whatever destination you are following down that path. So do you believe your spouse is already written, or do you have a choice? I do believe that everyone has a spouse available to them, and then they have to make choices to align and connect with them, with their spouse. And what that means is there's a lot of things you got to do in order to get married, to have a spouse. That you've got to understand yourself, that you've got to be open and honest about who you are. You've got to communicate that with another. Then you've got to have those discussions and align together, and then know if they are the person for you, and you get to make that choice. You get to choose if, you're going to go along with this person. So you do have a choice. I mean, even if you're like, oh, my parents are forcing me or presenting this person to me, you do have a choice. There's ramifications, there's consequences to your choices, but you always have a choice. And there may be multiple different options, and you get to choose. And Allah would know what would happen if you chose this person versus if you chose that person, because Allah knows everything. So I hope that answers your question. If you actually want to get more into destiny, qadr, and what's available to you, that's in my mini course, Best Life mini course, that's on my website, link in bio. And if you want to just go more specifically into how do I connect with my spouse, how do I be open and honest, how do I understand what I want, how do I have conversations to see how we align, that's in my Keys to Love sessions. That is also on my website and in my link in bio. But for here, we're doing Spiritual Lessons from Harry Potter, and we'll be back with the next episode next time. Okay, Assalamu alaikum.